Finally, a smart decision was made about Jayden Daniels' future.
Hey, we've been calling for it for a while. That just lets me know that Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, they're tuning into the show. So appreciate y'all. You can drop something in the comments next time for us, AP.
Okay, so Jayden out, Noah Brown now out too. So now what?
Hail to the Commanders! It's the Commanders Squad. Everything Washington Commanders every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the heart of the nation's capital. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Rally the burgundy and gold. The Commanders Squad Show starts now.
The age-old question, now what? Anthony Armstrong, Nick Ashew, we got David Harrison and Melissa Kim live from Ashburn, kind of sharing a screen here if you're watching this on YouTube, watching it back or live now, whatever it is. So they're going to be jumping off and going to hear Dan Quinn talk. I don't know. I think there's going to be maybe only one topic that probably matters today, and it's Jayden Daniels being done for the season, and finally sitting him down, not tempting the football gods. We've been begging for it on this show. We finally brought David into the mix now. Whether or not, Melissa, you're actually into this or not, you're going to have to deal with it. We're going to have Jayden Daniels done for the season, which means we look at not just this, not just the Eagles game, but we start looking at the future with this team, the offseason, the things that need to be done. Also, who can take advantage of these last few games in the regular season, which, of course, starts with the Eagles coming up this weekend. We're brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, so you guys, David and Melissa, are out there in Ashburn now. I know Dan Quinn hasn't spoken yet as of the time we are doing this show live. I can imagine that is going to be the main topic. It's clearly going to be Jayden Daniels and what went into the decision for them to finally say, nope, we ain't risking this thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he talked a little bit yesterday about it over his weekly Monday Zoom. And, I think that there was a lot of risk versus reward, right? You kind of have to weigh it out. What is the risk of having him play the last 3 games, and what would be the reward of that? The risk, I think, obviously, is that the potential for him to be hurt again, and there is no reward coming out of that, obviously, So yeah, I think it was a wise decision. Give Marcus the time. I think Marcus is a perfectly suitable quarterback, and hell, maybe we'll see Josh Johnson and Sam Hartman too at some point. You know what I mean? Why not give these guys some reps? I know that the lady crowd is chomping at the bit to see Sam Hartman play. So just give him all some time.
Look, I'm all about Sam Hartman playing too, because if we learned anything about Sam Hartman in the preseason this year, is that he's going to put the ball up, and he's going to take deep shots, and he's going to put the ball in play, Anthony, for those receivers to go make plays. And listen, they're not going to the playoffs anyway, so I want to see as many deep shots as we can get for the rest of the season.
Honestly, when you're a young receiver and you've probably been working with Sam Hartman all on practice squad, you're going to have a connection. And so when you get on the field, watch you give us a little extra fist bump to Hartman because that person's like, hey, man, throw me the rock, man. Give me the ball. And then also check out the group over here in section 101. They wanted to say hello to you after you throw me this touchdown, Sam Hartman. That's what you got to do when you got your quarterback coming in, a little heartthrob like that. Sam Hartman is so popular. You want to know how popular he is, Melissa? I have grown women at a 5 a.m. workout that are asking me, hey, who is this guy with the Commanders? Yeah. Who is this? He's cute. He's dreamy.
I have friends who do not care about football. I have friends who don't care, and they know who he is.
I mean, hey, it is what it is. I mean, shout out to Sam. Hey, that's a good – got a good head of hair on him. I mean, shoot, up right there with Nick.
I haven't seen him in a while, though. Does he have the beard? Did he bring the beard back?
Yes. And
he didn't have the beard before.
Okay. You gotta redo. Yeah. We're talking about the wrong quarterback. Nonetheless, no, they're gonna get opportunities. They're gonna throw the ball up, and really, you were talking about who's gonna be able to take advantage. Hell, the receivers are. I think that's a great position group to look to take advantage of this, because why the hell not, right? Let it fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let the football fly. Go and score some points. Have some fun for these last few games. Things are going to just, they'll play out how they play out. But, whenever you have a quarterback that has nothing to worry about, and Sam Hartman, he's trying to just put up good tape. And I think it's really key for Marcus Mariota to get more reps, because your backup quarterback doesn't play that often. So him getting a few more game reps is fine. With me, Josh Johnson getting in there, that's always a good story. I love when they put up all the 27 different graphics of the teams that he's been on. So that's a pretty cool story to have him in there as well, Nick.
It is true. I mean, honestly, Josh Johnson and the career that he's had and how long he's played in the NFL, teams have found value in him no matter where he's been. And that's, this is where a lot of guys now can take advantage of that the rest of the season. I will say this on Sam Hartman and the beard. As someone that's had a beard for about 10 years, the minute you shave that thing off, it is shocking to everybody. Just don't do it. David, I know you're doing it too. Just don't. It's not worth it. It freaks people out.
Yeah, no, James Harden is one of those guys. He cannot go back.
Oh my God, no, absolutely not.
No.
I actually took a notch out of mine a few weeks ago. I was trying to trim it, and I don't know, I sneezed or something. Took a little bit of a notch. I was like, I'm just going to have a notch for a little while. I'm not going to shave the whole thing. I'm just going to have that notch. It'll be okay.
No, I have old pictures. Google Memories will pop up and give me. Yeah, it does. It makes you look younger. So, like, when I'm 50 or something, maybe then I'll do it. But, like, it's just Google Memories pops up and I see old pictures of me without a beard. And I'm like, okay, we're not doing this. But, listen, Daniels now done for the season. We're not worried about his beard or any of his facial hair. But, the one thing I do understand the crowd, but I don't agree with it. I understand the crowd of getting him reps and getting him back out there on the field. The problem is that there is a mental side of this season, of the injuries that Jayden has dealt with, so many other things where the last 2 times that we saw Jayden Daniels actually out on the field, he didn't look like himself. Now, granted, this whole year he hasn't really truly looked like himself, but when you look at the 9 of 20 before he got hurt, didn't look good against the Vikings. When he got hurt against Seattle, that was as frustrated as I've ever seen Jayden Daniels his entire Commanders career. I know it's a short career so far, but like you watched him slam the ball down and he wasn't smiling after mistakes where you could tell. Granted, at that point they had against Seattle, they had no receivers available. Nobody was open downfield. He was trying to do everything himself, which is part of the reason why, if you watch it, you're like, did he get hurt because he maybe forced some things and maybe ran when he shouldn't have? Whatever the case is, this is now an opportunity to cut bait and just a fresh start, forget this season, learn from what's happened this year, but don't sit there and marinate it. And Melissa, we talk about it a lot on this show, and now that you're a regular part of the show, one of our mottos has been the old Ted Lasso saying, memory of a goldfish. You feel what you feel, have that memory of a goldfish, and then you move on from it. Jayden Daniels and this entire team needs to have a memory of a goldfish. Write down the notes of what you learned from this year, but if you marinate in the bad feelings and all of the negativity that's happened this year, that's going to carry over into the future. You got to learn from it. You've got to take stuff away from it, but you can't sit there and let that be something that you're thinking about all offseason as opposed to being proactive. And the front office is obviously going to think very differently, Melissa, than the actual players on the field, but that's what the rest of this has to be. What are you doing the rest of the season if you're out there? How are you getting good film? And then how is the front office going to make this team an actual contender moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's really important. Short-term memory, right? That's what you want. And, I think this is a good life lesson too, not just a football lesson, but that's what this is, right? You take the things that you learn from the good experiences and you make sure that you don't make those same mistakes again in the future. I think that is really important too, in terms of the lessons that guys might have learned on the field this season. Make sure you remember those parts of it, you know what I mean? And take it with you for next season. I think back to some of the injury-ridden teams that have seen success like the year after, the 2 years following. And like that generally seems to be the case for a lot of teams in the NFL. Obviously, my barometer of measurement is with the Ravens, when they had that really one year where they had those decimating injuries, like a dozen guys, and then like 1 or 2 seasons later they came back and had the best defense in the league, historically good defense. So I think that I could very much see that happening honestly here too, just because they do have a lot of really good pieces of the puzzle. I always bring back the puzzle analogy, but they really do. They have so many good, talented guys, and it's just a matter of how you're going to put it all together once you get into the following season, I feel like.
I think with this these last few games, when we mentioned treating like the preseason, this is why I know they're in the damn comments somewhere. They're just not saying anything, but they're listening, because you have that opportunity to see what the players. You generally don't get to evaluate these guys until the following training camp, right? Say what you want to say about OTAs, and OTAs they help people start to build some momentum, but it's not real football, because you have to take it from t-shirt and shorts to then put it on helmets and some pads and then take it into training camp and then do it against an opponent. So now at the end of the season, I'll think about Antonio Hamilton, the way Antonio Hamilton Sr., let me put respect on it. He balled out. I think that's somebody that they're going to have to put him in hey, let's keep him around and see how he continues to grow in these last few games. It's going to help us make a decision on how we want to handle that cornerback position in the offseason. Same thing with receiver, O-line, running back, you name it. these are key reps. These are key evaluation periods. And the biggest thing about sitting Jayden down and putting him up on when I'm driving home, I was thinking about, y'all remember Lil Penny? Y'all remember Lil Penny, the little Penny Hardaway?
Yeah.
That's what I envision right now, right? You give me a Lil Penny, little JD5, put him on the shelf.
Hold up. I just saw Melissa's face. I know you guys are sharing a screen, but I saw that look. You were gonna make us feel really old if you don't know who Lil Penny is.
Wait, I'm old too. Hold on. I do, but
you know who Lil Penny is now, don't you?
Oh no.
I don't.
Don't tell me you don't know who that is.
We'll put that in the group chat.
Right,
we'll get that updated.
Can we please do that?
It should be like,
I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a funny story real quick though. So Bill Krosky Merritt, he's got his Nike deal. One of the first pair of Nikes that Bill got from Nike were the foam posits. And we were in, I don't remember where we were. Wherever we were, he was walking out the locker room. I was like, oh, you got the pennies. He's like, the what's? I was like, the pennies. He's like, they told me these are called foam. I was like, yeah, but they're penny, like the foam posits are Penny Hardaway shoes. And he's like, I don't know who that is. I was like, bro.
Wait, I know who Penny Hardaway is.
No! Like Penny Hardaway at all doesn't even know who that is?
I know who that is.
Okay.
She does.
Okay.
Bill
did
not know until I informed him that the shoes he was wearing were made by a man named Penny Hardaway. We went through the whole history lesson. So yeah, let's talk about feeling old. Had to educate
He's like
Bill.
12. He's like what?
Yeah, had to educate.
My goodness, Lordy! Wow. Man, nonetheless, listen, give me a little JD5. We put him on the shelf,
doesn't it?
It does. I mean, I just sent the chat. It's a 1996 commercial. Was the Lil Penny commercial? So it's crazy to think. There are a couple guys. We were talking about Cooper Flagg. Dude wasn't even born when that video came out. Dude ain't but 18.
I know.
Nonetheless, JD5 on the bench, I think it makes a lot of sense. And it lets me continue to trust how they're going to treat injuries and how they're going to take care of their players, right? In the past, you just seen them get thrown back out there, and for what? Just to make somebody feel good and be able to sell maybe a couple extra jerseys. This makes the most sense for the longevity. This lets me know that Dan Quinn is thinking about year 3, 4, and 5. If it was a coach that was maybe on the hot seat, they may be trying to force his quarterback onto the field. You know what I mean? So I love the way that they're handling this. It makes the most sense. Get that car off the road. Let him watch from the sideline. Hell, he can even get some evaluation of like the receivers and who he likes to see making certain plays, and maybe they let him get involved in those type of decisions, David. So put that question to Dan Quinn.
I think there's a lot of things to look at moving forward. Go back to let's kind of talked about like the learning the lessons, and I don't to simplify this. I want to kind of equate it to like algebra, right? We all had to go through algebra in school and all that kind of stuff. And Jayden Daniels is still a very young quarterback, still very much learning the position, learning the NFL, all of these things. And I talked about this on Locked On Commanders when I first switched over to the dark side, Nick, and said they need to sit Jayden Daniels. It's not just enough to get reps. Like we know reps are valuable, but it's about getting the right reps. You can do 1,000 reps. And if 995 of them are wrong and 5 of them are good, you're going to regress. Like that's just the bottom line. That's how experience works. And so I almost equate this to, and that's not to like simplify Jayden's football IQ, but if you're in algebra class for the first time and I'm your teacher and I tell you, okay, class, you got 3 more classes to learn algebra. Then you're going to go on summer vacation. But also, by the way, you're also going to get an extended winter vacation. And when we come back in the summer, I'm going to give you a test on algebra. Human nature, we're not built like we're not computers. You can't just click save, open it up 4 months later, and the information is still there. That information, those experiences are going to start to fade. They have a shelf life. They have an expiration date. So you combine that with the fact, and Dan Quinn mentioned this yesterday, he wasn't going to play against the Eagles this week anyway. So really, you're talking about going to 2 opportunities. So now he's got 2 classes left, and he's got to retain the information learned in those 2 classes until July. But what is the likelihood of that actually happening? Then you still have the caveat of those 2 classes have to be filled with good experiences and positive lessons only, or else you risk regression. So beyond the health of it, just from the training and coaching aspects, that's where I flipped over to the other side is there's just not a lot of opportunity. And when you look at the previous 14 weeks, obviously this is before the Giants game, but if you look at the last 14 weeks of whether it be Cliff, whether it be the scheme, whether it be the injury context, whatever it is, because, oh, by the way, that algebraic equation is allowed to punch you in the face. So let's add that into the mix here while we're talking about this. It just doesn't make sense to put him on the field. I understand wanting to see him. I want to see Jayden Daniels play as many times in my lifetime before I die as I possibly can. He is a lot of fun. I want to see it every single day, twice on Saturdays if I can get it. But it doesn't make sense from a development, leading, coaching aspect, which is why I think they came to this decision on top of the health concerns.
Violence is that variable in algebra. If you didn't know, violence is the variable that's X that we're looking for.
It's interesting too, Anthony. I want to go back to two things you said that I think are really good points here. And it kind of gives us more of an insight into how this organization feels right now and how they're going to run things moving forward. It's one, they are very cautious with injuries, whether it's Terry McLaurin, whether it's Jayden Daniels, whether it's just about anybody else. They're not going to rush guys back, especially at this point and this early on. And what's still a rebuild? Like, let's be honest, this is still a rebuild for this team. So there's far less of that pressure of like, dude, we've got to win now. I understand the expectations coming into this year based on last year. They were inflated. We now know clearly, if anybody had any doubt, they were inflated expectations heading into this year. But it's very clear they're going to be cautious and take care of their players and make sure they're not rushing them back from injury if it's unnecessary. That is solidified now, especially with their franchise quarterback, and because of the fact that Laramie Tunsil is injured now too, so you might not even be protecting his blind side. All of that was, I'm sure, factored in. But there's another thing that's really important here, is that if Dan Quinn felt like he was coaching for his job, there would be more pressure to have Jayden Daniels back out there. There would be more pressure to get as many players that maybe hit or miss could play, to get them out there on the field the last stretch of the season, just to show that things are trending up, right? Because you can have a great stretch to, an end to a season and still get fired as a head coach. I mean, we've seen it plenty of times. I always go back to the Marty Schottenheimer era, the way that they started versus the way that finished. Now, I get it. That was Dan Snyder in charge. It's very, very different. But, a lot of crazy things happen in the NFL. This also tells me, Melissa, that when I'm looking at where Dan Quinn's situation is with this team, for anybody that doubts his job status, this tells you right here, Dan Quinn's not going anywhere. And I would have been, honestly, that would have been the wrong move had they even questioned whether or not he should be the head coach of this team, at least after this season.
No, I absolutely agree. And as a head coach, too, when you're in a situation where you are secure enough in making those decisions, I think that that's really important, too, because it dictates how you're going to handle the rest of, the remainder of the season, going into the off season. Obviously, this is a year-round sport, and a lot of the decisions that need to be made ahead of next season. So I think that's a really, really important place to be in. So I think that it's good all around again. And look, Dan Quinn, I've only been here since week 13, and I've seen him in, in other teams and aspects to other franchises too. But I think he's a great head coach in that sense. He's like a player's coach. You know what I mean? You can tell by the way that guys gravitate towards him. You can tell when you talk to the guys in the locker room about what kind of man he is. I'm just not talking about just as a coach, but as a human being. And I think that those are the kinds of coaches that are really special. You think about Dan Quinn, you think about Dan Campbell, you think about some of these other guys that really have come to be in the league with a reputation of, yes, you're a great head coach, but also you're a great human being. And I think that those things are not, separate. I think they're very much aligned. And I think that it says a lot about what the future of this franchise could hold.
I like that. I like that.
They're in a position. No, it's true. Listen, this is a franchise right now that understands what the past was. And I think that's what's really important, is you get where the scars are. You understand where how the fan base feels, how just people that are still within the organization feel. All of that stuff is factored in, which at least makes you feel in the short term right now, you feel good about the direction. Now, you have to show improvement. The arrow has to trend up. You have to have an aggressive offseason, which is something that, we're going to start certainly looking at that now. The front office has been looking at that now. There are a lot of things that now get factored in where you can't have the same season next year, but you can get away with what you got going on now. There are still a few games left in the regular season, though. What can we expect from this offense, certain roles for certain players, and, of course, what to expect against the Philadelphia Eagles coming up Saturday as well? It's Commander Squad. All right, NFL Sundays move fast, unlike that transition. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when you start to see that momentum shift and you go, ooh, I can see where this is going here. I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more. I think Terry McLaurin's going to get some more targets. That receiver gets hot. I'm going over on his receptions. That live number is good. I love what that price is sitting there looking like. Spreads and money lines will adjust instantly on top of that too. I mentioned the props. That's really important. That's something that if you like watching an individual player, you can maybe get yourself an edge there. It just kind of gives you something extra in the game, right? Especially when your team's not going to make the playoffs. It can still make the game a little bit more exciting. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com, or of course you check out the app as well. NFL live bets all season on into the playoffs. FanDuel, the game moves fast, but so can you.
But so can you.
Yes, you can. Anthony Armstrong, David Harrison, Melissa Kim. David and Melissa are out in Ashburn, so they will be jumping off shortly to go hear Dan Quinn speak. And hopefully, Melissa, you can watch the video that Anthony sent of Lil Penny, because it's important that you know who Lil Penny is. It is a cultural icon from way back in the day. You know, I know we touched on it at the beginning, but like I think, and this may be a question for both of you two out there, David and Melissa, like, are we going to see other quarterbacks, or is it just going to be Marcus Mariota the rest of the way? And I don't – there may not be an answer to that right now, but I think that that's something to keep an eye on too. Like, are they going to evaluate – like, you know what Marcus Mariota is. Marcus Mariota is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the NFL. We know what Josh Johnson is at this point, and we saw a lot of him in the preseason. If you're treating the rest of this season almost like an advanced preseason, are you giving somebody like Sam Hartman a chance? Are you going to even try? I mean, do they even bring somebody else off the street at quarterback just to say, hell, why not? Like, I feel like these are situations that are at least open to the possibility because this team has no pressure to actually win games other than people being pissed off on Twitter.
So my take on that is going to be this, because Nick, I know that you love the word take and when people have takes. So my take on that is going to be this. The reason Dan Quinn is so beloved by players is, like Melissa said, because he genuinely cares about them. As a human being, he cares about them as a human being. And when you have a coach that cares about you as a person before they care about you as a player, he wants to see you successful. But guess what? He wants to see you successful, whether that's in a Commanders jersey, whether that's in even a Cowboys jersey, or a Jaguars jersey, or a Bengals jersey. And Marcus Mariota, look, last offseason, he received offers. He went out and he had phone calls and he had cups of coffee with other teams to see what was out there for him. So while he loves this organization, DQ, being with Jayden, all this other stuff, he is still very much a player who wants the opportunity to potentially be a starter, potentially go earn more playing time. And of course, he's got a family and a future to think of too. So money is going to be an influence on that as well. So Marcus Mariota, this is an opportunity for him. You know, the entirety of the season has been an opportunity, really turns out. But now he knows, no shadow of a doubt, all this other stuff. In the next 3 weeks, this is an audition. This is tape for not just the Washington Commanders, but this is tape for all of these other teams that might be looking for a backup veteran that might be willing to pay a little bit more than the Commanders are willing to pay for that backup veteran, or a team like, I don't know, say the New York Jets, who might be going out there to select a number 1 overall quarterback or a number 2 overall quarterback, and they want a veteran mentor similar to what they want here. But hey, in the meantime, you might be able to have the opportunity to start while we groom this young guy behind you. And these games are going to dictate how much interest he generates in the open market. So people love Dan Quinn because Dan understands that. And Dan wants Marcus to have everything he wants in life to make him the happiest person he can possibly be. So if Dan can help facilitate that, he's going to do that. So I think outside of injury, and obviously every game, every week is another opportunity to receive more information and maybe even change that stance. But today, where I stand, I think it's Marcus Mariota. Outside of injury, it's going to be Marcus the rest of the way. I don't think you're going to see a rotation. I don't think we're going to see, the quote-unquote development of all this stuff. And the last thing I'll throw in there and throw a little bit of fuel onto a fire right before Melissa and I log off is there's also a possibility here, guys, dipping my toe into the conspiracy pool a little bit. If you know or think that Jayden Daniels may not be operating in the same offense in 2026, you have even less reason to try to get him more reps in 2025.
Ooh.
I like that. That makes sense.
Wait. Hold on. Let me put on my tinfoil hat. We got a conspiracy theory here, guys.
I love that you had that ready to go. I love that you had that ready to go.
I've got it ready to go. It's been a while since we've had a conspiracy theory.
What?
It was at that moment that David Harrison presented something that no one had thought of. Could the offense look different next year? What does that mean? Dun, dun, dun. I love this.
My God.
I love this. And I'm going to read into it a ton. a ton because this is my world right here.
Dude.
You have to be all professional and talk to the players. Nah, I'm the sports talk guy. I get to just think about all the crazy stuff that's going on out there. Thank you for this. I'll just keep this tinfoil hat on for a minute. By the way, we may have to just get into a lot of conspiracy theories the rest of the way. Hey, man, at this point, they're not making the playoffs. Listen, I once did a Wizards post-game show with a poop emoji mask on because they kept losing. So I will find ways to do whatever I can to keep people entertained as much as possible here. So if it means listen, I will sacrifice my fresh haircut just for this guy. So thank you for that, David. That energized me a little bit. All kinds of stuff could be happening.
it charged you up. That tinfoil hat, you went to instantly looking crazy. You look crazy as hell. I can't even lie. You threw me off of what David was saying. That threw me off, but that does make a lot of sense. Like if you already kind of assume you're gonna make some changes, sure, move around and make some different decisions. Well, one thing I do know is very important, especially coming from that FanDuel read that you did that was oh so perfect. You mentioned a guy by the name of Terry McLaurin. He needs to be on the field. I honestly don't care who's under center. 17 is the one who needs to be out there, and he is the one who makes this offense go. It's not Jayden. It's not Mariota, and it's not really the running game. It's Terry McLaurin, because when he's on the field, stuff happens. I almost had to put the poop emoji on to blurb out what I was going to say, but he is the one that they respect on the defensive side. They back up when he's out there. They put two people on him, which opens up the running game, which opens up other receivers to get catches and things like that. So for anybody to have success for the rest of this season, Terry McLaurin has to be on the field and has to be involved to get a really good evaluation of what you want. Because when he was not on the field, the offense looked like hot garbage. Okay, it did not look good. He had a few spurts here or there, but when 17's on the field, you know you're getting a consistent threat. You're getting a consistent presence of somebody that's going to actually make the defense do some things, Nick. And then that's not a conspiracy theory. That is cold, hard facts.
Does my hair look okay, guys? Am I all right?
Yes, it's still good. Take that off your head, please.
Right, cool. What? I can't do that the entire show.
Don't surprise me with it. We can have a conspiracy theory show. That's a whole other show. We can do that. That's cool.
You want to go down that road? This is not the first time that I've done conspiracy theory segments.
Shoot, let's have some fun, man.
Do you have any conspiracy theories, Melissa? Or are you just going to be the one looking at me like a psychopath?
What if we were to say that, like, because when you were like get somebody off the street, like, what if there's an experiment? They're not going to do this, but like for funsies, like experimental process, because we did see 44-year-old Phillip Rivers play this past week. What if they got some? I don't know. I don't even know who's out there that wants to play football anymore. You know what I mean?
Anthony Armstrong returns. Let's go.
Right. Anthony Armstrong.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I just bring my own equipment, man. I bring my own stuff.
Hey, I saw Wes Welker kind of jog through in some reps the other day. Like, you know what I mean? He might still have a little bit of wiggle in him.
Man, look, it's the wiggle's fine. It's when you get hit. That's the issue. If you have never seen a receiver slide, you would see me slide. Like, did he slide? Yes, he did. He gave himself up on that play. Just caught my pass, get down. Y'all, come on. Ike Hilliard used to tell when he was
they could bring Jason Campbell back for a game. Why not?
Jason, you
could bring Jason Campbell last game of the season, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But I know Ike Hilliard, when he was in his older in his career, he said he would go in on third down, get his first down, and then keep it moving, right? Just like that. They came in on third down. They put some fire on the flame, got your tinfoil hat out. Oh, man, you look like you was popping popcorn, man. You know what I mean? And you put it on the fire and it bubbles up. What is that called? Jiffy Pop? Is that what that's called?
Yeah, the Jiffy Pop. Yeah, or the I know what you mean. Yeah. Jiffy Pop is one of them. All right, David and Melissa jumping off now. They're going to go ahead to hear Dan Quinn talk. Yeah, let me tell you something about camping. Camping is something that I do if there are experts in camping that are there. Like my father-in-law is really good at that stuff. I'm like, cool, you bring all the equipment and then we'll have a tent and we're good at that. So yeah, the tinfoil hat may have to come out more this offseason. You know me, man. I'll lean into the conspiracy theories. I'll have some fun with this. But like, listen, it is something to think about. And we'll see if, David and Melissa will kind of let us know what Dan Quinn has to say as we're, doing this live. There'll be more depending on people watching and listening this later on after Dan Quinn has talked. But, Jayden Daniels is going to be the main conversation. But then at some point it does move on to like, okay, who else is there? And you know how how all of us on the show feel about Chris Rodriguez. And I know he wasn't active last game, but this is an opportunity now for this offense to be less pass heavy and run the ball more and really see what you have in somebody like, I mean, we've seen the flashes of Bill. We've seen the flashes of Chris Rodriguez. But this is a chance to really be more of a – I'd like to see them be more of a run-heavy team. I mean, yes, Terry McLaurin out there and getting the reps. And, look, Deebo Samuel's contract is going to be a conversation this offseason too. So, you certainly want to make sure he gets some of those opportunities to decide how that's going to go, even though in the end we know all that's coming down to money. That is money first and foremost with him. But really – this is a chance now. I really want to see what they can do with this run game and just give more opportunities to Bill and Chris Rodriguez and just see how they can handle a heavier workload. Give Chris Rodriguez 18 carries in a game. Give Bill 15, 16 and a few, targets out of the backfield. This is a chance to really do that and lean on those guys because, dude, there's been a lot of talk about how great Bill can be. It's all great. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and what he could be in this. But we haven't seen that consistently from him this year.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them ones where he's a player that you kind of have to set some things up to then put him in there to be that dynamic change of pace. I love the run that he scored his touchdown on. That's either something that they saw on tape or just his natural vision and feel to just let everybody try to overrun on that zone scheme, and he just put his foot in the ground and got straight downhill. That's a great run. That's great vision. That's showing that you set up that patience on going on that zone scheme, and you set up that cutback right there. So he's shown he can be a lead dog. I do think that we're going to say, hey, it's against the Giants, but I think that it works best to have them go with a two-way type of approach. I will say I agree with running the rock more. I think between the both of them, Rodriguez and Bill, I'd love to see about 30 to 32 touches. Not necessarily all rushing. I do like the idea of some screen plays here or there, just to keep those defenses off kilter and slow them down a little bit. We know Philly's going to be aggressive. Right, you know how they're going to be. They're going to try to have somebody, Zach Bonds, running around in the middle, trying to keep eyes on running backs and tight ends, and he's very impactful in the passing game. This is also why you got to have Terry on the field, because if you're going to throw backup quarterback out there and you don't have your number one, everybody's going to just constrict down. It's going to make it that much more difficult to even have a visually appealing offense on the field. So run that rock, help out whatever quarterback it is, man. Jayden needs to keep for his job next season. Merle, come on.
Merle loves to come with the hot takes, man. He's not competing for a job. He's the starter next year. Look, here's the thing, though. I know that Jayden, even at the beginning of the season, did not look great, but we got to remember this whole offense was dealing with guys in and out of the lineup, right? Guys were hurt. Offensive line was shuffling. There was a lot. Merle, I'm all for competition. But we all know it's not going to be a competition when Jayden Daniels is back and healthy in training camp. It ain't happening.
The one he's competing against is that training room. You know what I mean? It's just make sure you're healthy, bro.
Yeah.
Make sure you're healthy. And I going back to his injuries and even going with the comparison of with Robert, how I said I always wish Robert was able to go into his offseason and then work on playing quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, I think that he would have been so much further along as a passer if he was able to do that rather than having to rehabilitate from injuries. And so when you don't put Jayden on the field, you eliminate that potential timeline on an off season. I'd hate to have an off season where it's more of just show up, hey, ice stem in mobility, and then that's all we can do today. Now it's like, hey, we can go watch some tape. You can do some drops. You can throw the rock around. You can move. You can do these things in the off season. Give me more of those reps to get better rather than just trying to get healthy. So it makes a lot of sense to me to do it. I know that's kind of frustrating for fans. I was selfishly, wanting to see Jayden under center, but it's all good, man. It's all good. I want to see him healthy in 2026.
And I think you bring up a really good point as lead commanders going after Merle now too. So here you go. At least Merle's just stirring the pot now with everybody. Look, here's the one thing. When you bring up the idea of him focusing on quarterback and not getting healthy in the offseason, dude, that's massive. Like that is so important for you. Like, I understand the reps in real NFL games do matter, but when the reps with the way the season's gone like this, look, I'm a big believer in the mental side of sports. I haven't been on the field at a professional level like you have, but I'm sure you probably agree on the mental side of it to a point in its own way. Like, the way that the season's gone and the injuries that are there, I don't want Jayden looking over his shoulder in the last few games and, worried about what's going to happen or whether he's going to get hurt again or still concerned with that elbow, whatever the case is, to where then he's behind in the offseason where he does have to do some level of rehab or has to get some sort of surgery or, he's got to, even if it's just like clean up his elbow. I don't want any of that. I want him to focus on just being a great quarterback. So when you have this offseason, and you hope that the contracts that they need to get done, because again, there are some more. I mean, they're going to be talking about Laramie Tunsil's contract this offseason. He's heading into the last year of his deal, and he's going to want an extension. But you hope that they get that done, and by training camp, everybody's in there, and you're in a spot where it can be focused on football and the offense, whatever that offense looks like, whoever the offensive coordinator is, whatever the case is. I'm not going to put the tinfoil hat back on for that. I'm just going to throw that out there after David said it. I didn't say it. I just stirred the pot a little bit more and fan the flames, if you will. But it is important that he's going to be in that position, and I think that matters a lot. And I'm sure you can put it in perspective too. Like, guys that deal with multiple injuries in a season, to go into an off season healthy and not have to think about that and have your body doing what it's supposed to do, so you can focus on adding the extra layers and growth as a player, specifically his sense in a quarterback. I mean, that just puts you so much farther along than like, oh, I got to spend 3 months first rehabbing this injury before then I start focusing on actually like getting better on the field.
Yeah, really. And then there's still that ramp up period, right? I mean, once you come off of an injury, just because you're cleared for takeoff and for practice, it doesn't mean that you're at full speed yet. It doesn't mean that you're able to go and do it in a unscripted reactionary way. Like, there's differences between agility and quickness, right? One is unprompted. One of them, where the impetus is, and that's the difference. Where when you try to throw players back out there, you're like, oh, he can pass our obstacle course. It's like, yeah, because I see where the cone is, and I can run, and I can make my plant because I see where it is. But it's different whenever I don't know where the defender's coming from. I'm not sure when he's going to turn around, and you have to make those natural reactions that can cause some different injuries. And so if you're not able to do that, then it kind of hinders your approach. So I'm just loving the fact that the guy's going to be able to be healthy. He's going to be able to lock up there with that. Whoever stays in town or wherever they go, they're going to go throw somewhere. And they're going to be able to have off-season workouts in LA or Arizona or down there in LSU. If Lane Kiffin opens up the doors for him, he'll be able to get some work in. And this is going to be one of them off seasons where you're going to, behind the scenes, you're probably going to see some Instagram videos. You're going to see some training videos, but there's going to be a fire. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, too, Dan Quinn probably has sparked a fire. We lighting flames. He done lit a little fire. There's a little pilot light in Jayden Daniels. He done turned up the heat a little bit. He's like, nah, you can't play the rest of the year. Oh, you know what I'm saying? What I say the other time. You can't get out there until you can show me you can act right. You can't play with your toy until you show me you know how to take care of your business. And this is what this situation is. So, hey, you want to get on the field? Kind of like Murrow, you want to make him compete for his job? Hey, you better have a hell of an off season. Better have a great off season and show that you're going to come back and take care of yourself. But he's going to have a fire underneath him. I mean, you can say it right now. I don't know if it's comeback player of the year. I don't know if it's MVP. But I expect Jayden Daniels to have an electrifying 2026.
Sometimes it takes adversity to kind of help you take that next step. And he's used to, I mean, he had the success that he had in college. I know it was much more at LSU than there was at Arizona State, but this is somebody now that just won a Heisman and had an incredible rookie season. So sometimes a little bit of adversity is what sends guys kind of to that next level. The Poster King does put up a little bit of, I'm going to put the tinfoil hat back on for this one. We will be under Mike McDaniel next year. Let me tell you something, dude. I have been saying this for a while. If Mike McDaniel is available, I would not say no. As you have the little, you've got the team photo right there.
There's
right
Mike
there.
And there's me. I'm right in front. Hey, man.
Are you going to help with the recruiting? Will you help with the recruiting for Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator?
Hey, man.
You could be wide receiver. You could go be part of the coaching staff too. You
know what, man? I could be a silent partner, man. I enjoy doing this show too damn much, man. That's the thing. I'll be like, can I do my show with Nick and David and Melissa and be over here doing that? I'll always be trying to do too much. I don't know. That would be interesting, though. That would be interesting. With as many coaches that I know in the league, I will say this. My biggest thing is, man, I've been wanting to be around my family. That's what it is. So whoever is able to provide me some good work-life balance, then we can talk turkey. Then we can talk turkey.
There you go. I mean, how could you turn down doing a show, though, with a guy that puts a tinfoil hat on his head in random moments? You can't.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So if we can find a way to work that into, maybe it's like a guest bit, right? I just show up for like 15-minute segment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just something along those lines just to keep the same good juju going. But now, real talk though, man, like that receiver room, man, I feel like that's a good receiver room right type of leadership. Terry's got his head on. He's always done it the right way, but I've admired how he handled his business. Yes, I know he had to hold out this last year, but that's literally the only time you've ever heard him say something and complain about anything. He's had the utmost opportunity to leave multiple times, and then to lash out. So he doesn't do that, and I feel like that's just a room full of hungry dogs, man. You know what I mean? Traylon Burks got something to prove. Noah Brown's going to have something to prove when he gets healthy. He wants to be able to get out there and do something. Devo's trying to prove something. So everybody in there is hungry, and they're going to work really well together. So I would definitely be intrigued to see how they perform in 2026.
Yeah, and of course, now this is the NFC East tour the rest of the way for the Commanders. There won't be Jayden Daniels, but now the question is, after we saw one of young NFC East quarterback last week in Jackson Dart, what is the future of the quarterback position in the NFC East with the Eagles coming up next? Anthony Armstrong, Nick Ashew, we are Commander Squad. You ever feel like your money just disappears each month? I mean, look, it can happen fast. A few subscriptions here, and for some people, it's a lot of subscriptions. There's an impulse buy. It's the holidays right now, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers that you had in your head. It looked a little different on paper than it did, actually there, right? Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances, because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job or third job or fourth job, whatever. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting so you can just save money and stress less. And we could all use a little breather every once in a while, right? Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot you were paying for, because everybody wants a subscription now at this point. It helps you clean those up a little bit. Seeing all of your spending on the dashboard kind of makes it easier to understand where everything's growing. If you're a visual person, right, it makes it a lot easier for you to just go, oh, now it's actually in front of me. I can see it. You have the app. You can find some good times to save money each month, how you can stay consistent with your financial goals. It lays it all out for you. So take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, Anthony Armstrong, Nick Ashew, David, and Melissa have gone to hear what Dan Quinn has to say. Jackson Dart's a crazy person. We obviously knew that, Anthony, and he plays reckless at times, but he's going to be a big part of, as long as he stays healthy in some capacity, big part of the Giants' future. That is the quarterback. You draft him in the first round. They want him to be their franchise quarterback. So as of now, we expect Jackson Dart to be the Giants' quarterback for an extended period of time. We know that Jayden Daniels, as long as he can stay healthy, is going to be the long-term quarterback for the Commanders. Say what you want about development in this year versus last year. We know that's the plan. He ain't competing for the starting job next year. Merle, it's not happening. He's going to be starting for them. But then you got to look at Jalen Hurts and the offense right now with the Eagles. And you got fans egging the house, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, which don't do that. Don't be a jackass. Like, listen, offensive coordinators may suck. Don't start going to someone's home. That is as trashy as you could possibly be. And then, of course, we know Dak Prescott and what you've got going on in Dallas. So when I look at the NFC East right now, Anthony, I see a division that does have teams that either have solidified their starting quarterback or have the potential to have a franchise quarterback in the Giants and Commanders right now. Now, Jalen Hurts, it's a little bit up in the air, and we'll see him this weekend. The Eagles are obviously looking to win this division, and they are. At this point, it's their division, but this is a team. But it is an Eagles team that has been very vulnerable this year, especially offensively. And Saquon Barkley's not who he used to be, which has put more pressure on Jalen Hurts to make more plays, and you're not seeing it besides tush pushes. And when I look at this division as a whole, though, I see the potential still for the NFC East to really get back to what it used to be. And, people want to call it the glory days, right? When Joe Gibbs was coaching the Redskins and those eras when it was like every team was much more competitive as opposed to all the dysfunction we've seen in Dallas and with the Giants and in Washington with the past ownership group. So high end to me, seeing Jackson Dart last week, seeing Jalen Hurts coming up this weekend still, and the Eagles' weapons that they do have if they can get offensive coordinator right. Obviously, Dak is the future in Dallas. This could be a really competitive division for a long period of time, to where if you're the Commanders, you're not just looking at like, hey, we got to compete because, we want to make the playoffs. It's, we got a division that has a chance to be really, really good. So we've got to keep pace with really every other team within this division.
No, 100%. And it's funny you bring that up because the TikTok algorithm was talking to me earlier, and this young lady was mentioning that there's this missing generation of quarterbacks in the NFL. It was kind of interesting how she went about it, where like this certain age group, like the Carson Wentz's, and they mentioned like RG3 and like Andrew Luck, he retired early. Like they should really be that, like the older, the OGs, the unks of the league. You got a few of them still hanging around. But yeah, you have a little bit of a gap there, and we're fortunate for Washington to have a Jayden Daniels in the building to be able to project what the next 3, 5, 6, 7 years could be, 10 years, hell, if you do it right. So to be able to see that you could have this vision, whereas a lot of other organizations, you have no clue. The Jets haven't had where they thought they did, but it seems like they couldn't get it right. And you don't want to be in that quarterback purgatory where you're continually trying to turn the lottery and hopefully you're at the top pick. Now, remember we talk about culture, there's something, that's why I say winning means something. I don't think that there's there's no surprise that, the Jets are continually bad, right? They don't just keep picking that top pick. You don't just get better just because they suck. They're not good. They have a bad culture, right? And it takes time to fix it. Yeah, they have to work their way to eventually pick last, if they want to be good. So you have a good quarterback. Jackson Dart could be a good quarterback for the Giants. They can project. I think they're going to be a pretty dangerous young team because they got just enough don't give a damn over there on that offensive side between their quarterback, between Scadaboo, hell, and between Malik Neighbors. If they're all healthy, that's a lot of don't give a damn. And then the pass rush can get after you too. So this will be a very competitive division. Now, the interesting thing is, Philly may fall off first. What's Dallas going to do? They always tend to kind of find their way, either a couple wins below 500, couple wins above 500. So right now they're swinging below, but with Dak Prescott can still deal the ball around. But it's an interesting division for sure. I like where we at though. Give me 5.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know what the upside certainly is, and that was upside in a rookie season. So, if he can now take this offseason to really improve and have his number 1 wide receiver back at the beginning of next year, look, the offense is going to look different no matter what. And lead commander, I asked you, how many back-to-back games did JD5 play besides first 2 games of the season? Yeah, I know. Like, I'm actually not even sure what. Yeah. I mean,
he played 2 games, then he missed like a couple, then he played 3 games,
right? And
then he missed, and then he played like 1.5, 2. So yeah, Lee, you're right. He didn't put a lot together.
But he does also agree that it's, he expects him to light it up next year. So like I'm assuming that's your point, is like he didn't get a lot of time to actually get out there and grow. So it's, next year. Look, here's what I will say about that. And it does, Matt, like I get that the narrative is going to be there about injuries and the scars that are there from RG3. And he wants, now he's, again, he's always in the conversation and he loves it. And he's like, well, I don't want them to compare him to me and blah, blah, blah. He's saying all the right things. But like, it is going to exist. It's going to be there for this fan base. It's going to be there for me. I remember where I was, every injury that RG3 had and the whole process. And, like it exists. But if this becomes something that isn't a regular thing, because there's no guarantee that Jayden Daniels is going to consistently be an injury-prone player. He wasn't last year, missed a little bit of time, but like football injuries do happen. I mean, look at even now Patrick Mahomes. He tore his ACL and his LCL, and like, injuries are going to happen in football. The question just becomes, is it a regular thing like this year or not? Let's go on the assumption that things get better. He gets better at, training and taking care of his body and those types of things. So lead commander says, yeah, that's exactly my point. Yeah, so that's it. Like, getting the consistent time out there on the field. That's why, like, when he came back and he was 9 of 20 before he got hurt against the Vikings, I'm like, this isn't helping him at all. He's been too in and out. You've had too many different receivers in and out. Offensive line has been shuffling. It was bad overall, where this talk about like developing and getting the reps. And you mentioned it before, Anthony, like bad reps are just, and David said it too. Like, I guess we all have at some point, and we at least now have this finality with this, but like, bad reps aren't going to make you better at quarterback, and it's not going to put you in a position to succeed more. It's like watching Jackson Dart going in and out because he's getting concussions every other week. Like this is stuff that doesn't actually help you grow as a quarterback. My hope for Jayden Daniels is that some of the learning experience from this isn't just about being a better quarterback, but it's being smarter and taking care of yourself, whether it's the training in the offseason, it's gaining more muscle as much as he can. Again, some of it's just genetics. Like Lamar Jackson's not the biggest guy either, but he's less, he still does deal with some level of injuries. But God, look at what he's become. When Lamar is up there, man, that is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But my hope too is that Jayden Daniels gets better at also protecting himself and understanding. I get that, like, in the second quarter, you want to go for that. It's 3rd and 5, and you need that 1 extra yard for a first down. But, like, you don't necessarily need to do that and risk getting hurt when you've got an entire game to make other plays like that. It's just finding where the risk versus reward actually matches up. And that takes just growing as a player.
It does, and then it's studying those bad reps. It's just similar to life. Hell, you make a mistake, I promise you're going to see the same situation pop back up. And that's the thing about the NFL that you learn quickly, is that if they find a weakness, they are going to exploit it, and they're going to then do it the following week to see if you got it fixed. And if you didn't get it fixed, you're going to see it the next week, and then you're going to see it the next week. And one of the best things that he can do is to look at the bad tape, look and see what did you miss. One of the things I've always been enamored with is, like, you have players that we know everything to do. We know the routes, we know the reps, we know the drop, we know how to read it. You can recite it. Like, you know what I mean? They get up there with John Gruden and they're like, oh yeah, this is this play and this is the concept. I'm reading it top to bottom, left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then when the game gets going, it's like they didn't even train it, right? There's two different type of players, and I want him to be more on that, the latter one, right? At first, where you know everything and you can spit it out, and when you know what the read is, like it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, the defense knows how you read it. And so this is where you have to sometimes understand they're taking away my first read. So now my first read kind of needs to be number 2, and then just advance your game that way. And you have to do it more cerebrally. You have to improve on the margins, right? There's only so many weights you can lift. You can only run so many routes. You can drop back and improve your drop. That's only so much better. Your throwing mechanic can be a little bit better. But to me, he's going to improve the most up here with how he's able to understand the game, how he wants to play the game like a chess match. I know he's a big Tom Brady fan. Like, you understand what that linebacker's trying to do to you. Now you make that a game. I'm playing a game with this linebacker right here. So later on, when I need a big third down in the third or fourth quarter on this game-winning drive, we're going to go back to that play where I threw the ball. You know what I mean? So that's where I want to see him grow. That's where the failure – the bad reps, you have to study those just as much as the good reps. Like, the highlights make you feel good. The failures, it sucks to watch them, but it's like, okay, where did I mess up? It was because I did this. Okay, let's fix this. How do we read this? They took this from me. What do we do next? How do we come up with the answer? So improving in the margins in that regard is what's going to take this guy's game to the next level, Nick.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, really what everybody just wants to see anyway. It's the growth, right? It's as long as you're seeing the trajectory, it doesn't – I get that we've seen some quarterbacks burst onto the scene and win MVPs their first year as a starter, but let's also not forget Jayden Daniels was in the MVP conversation as a rookie. So for all of the talk this year about sophomore slump and injuries and all this, let's remember where we were last year. So you can get back to that level if he's able to put in the work. And I don't think anybody's going to doubt the work ethic that's going to be there this offseason. Now, granted, you have to see it on Instagram, obviously, for it to matter, Anthony. As you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count if nobody sees the crazy-ass workouts you're doing on Instagram. But I don't think anybody's going to doubt that he's not going to put that in this offseason. And that's really what the focus now is. And it's good. We have the finality there. It's done. You don't have to worry about is he not. We don't have to talk about status. We talk about moving forward, and the team focuses on the moving forward with him too. But it also does include the Philadelphia Eagles coming up Saturday. What to expect from that game? Commanders-Eagles next. It's Commander Squad. All right, Anthony Armstrong, Nick Ashew still here. David and Melissa have gone to hear Dan Quinn speak. I do want to ask you this, though, before we kind of get to what you see happening Sunday, given all of the news and the stuff we have. You kind of looked at it from a quarterback's perspective and what the growth and the reps mean. But from you as a receiver's perspective, developing that consistency and that chemistry with a quarterback, what are the little things that maybe people don't see that really, really matter to help just that relationship grow?
Ultimately is building trust and then being able to communicate non-verbally, right? As a receiver, you can't tell them, hey, I'm breaking. When you hear me yell, throw the ball, like that's just not how it's going to go. But whenever they're saying, hey, when I see the DB do this, then I'm going to do this. When they're on the same page, they can expect those things. And when you see all the beauty of a Kelsey and Mahomes, more reps together help you build those type of that level of trust. So knowing that Terry's going to break out and I can throw the ball with this type of arc and touch, and this is how he would like to receive the pass to help him turn up field quicker, you build that more just with that trust. It takes – we already had the inconsistency this year with people on the field, and it just showed up week in and week out. And that's also, I think, another thing they had to consider when you throw him out there is that he didn't have his normal set of receivers. So you didn't really trust who you were throwing the rock to. And I know that Jayden cares about where the football goes, and he cares about protecting the football. So if you don't trust the receiver, you're not going to necessarily let it rip into a tighter window as you would normally if you would have had more reps or been working with this person more consistently. So those things all happen whenever you try to build some trust. So Nick, that's what I want to see and what I would have loved to see this year. So if I have to say, not having the same receivers kind of affected his play this year, I'd be willing to put that in that hat. Yes.
I think it would help. It certainly would help to have everybody out there consistently, especially, again, I look at that game against Seattle and I'm like, well, he was slamming the ball down because he literally had nobody open. All right, Commanders are 6.5-point dogs at this moment on FanDuel at home against the Eagles. Total's 44.5 in that game, which normally is a lower total, but I'm looking at some of these others for people that care. We're looking at some 37s in there in the Texans-Raiders game. Of Jets and Saints is 40.5, so it's not as low as it normally would. But, listen, neither one of these offenses is lighting it up right now. Between the Commanders and the Eagles. We know the Eagles' struggles that they're having, which still blows my mind considering the weapons that Philadelphia has out there, a wide receiver. And I know Saquon hasn't had the same season that he did last year. And maybe that's it. Maybe that was the peak for Saquon Barkley. We know with running backs, sometimes it can happen and then it just starts to dip. But the one thing we do know is that there is the potential for explosion from an A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith just to start, not to mention a Dallas Goedert and what Saquon can do out of the backfield, all of these things. And I think that's the big thing that I'm still concerned with is that this becomes one of those breakout games, a slump buster game for Philadelphia's offense where they're hearing it. And the one thing I've noticed over time is when A.J. Brown is pissed off and tells the media that he's pissed off and then says, no, that's not what it actually was about. You're reading into it too much. He ends up getting the football a little bit more. This worries me that this is one of those games where they just find ways to feed A.J. Brown a little bit more against, a secondary that I think has a lot of upside for Washington, but we know the inconsistencies they've certainly had this year.
Yeah, but they played a lot better as of late. They ran some of those statistics as the defense's performance under Dan Quinn compared to Joe Witt Jr. And so, I feel, whereas if you line up player name to name, you know what I mean? Antonio Hamilton Sr. versus A.J. Brown. You're going to say A.J. Brown probably has the advantage. But Antonio don't give a damn. He don't care. He don't care who he's lining up across from. He's going to go out there and perform and try to put up a good effort. Now, and I think the way that the defense has shown as of late, there's going to be a better performance. I think it's going to still be a tight game. That over-under probably got some weather to do with it. Yeah. They're it's cold. But I do think the secondary can slow them down enough. I mean, obviously, we haven't seen them, the Eagles, throw the ball all over the place like crazy. I don't think that they're going to really do that on Saturday. He wants to say Sunday, but on Saturday, I'm more concerned about the running game getting going. That's the one thing, especially in the cold weather. I don't want Saquon to get rocking because then that will make it a long day. And then you'll see tush push over and over and over again. And I don't want that either. You know what I mean? I don't want that either. So if we can get the Commanders to jump out a little bit, Nick, and have a good, strong first quarter, your favorite quarter of the game, they can start out early, maybe get a quick 7-10 points, find a way to jump out on them early. That can change the way the tune of the game.
Maybe we'll see Frankie Louvu just try to jump the line every single time like he did in the playoff game. Remember that?
Yes. You got to do
something. To the point we found out there was a rule they could just award a touchdown. Everybody was like, what?
Yeah, that sounds like a parent. It's like, you know what? If you keep it up, I'm just going to give it to your brother. I'm just going to give it to him. All right? You keep it up, I'm just going to give it away. You're like, oh, my God, seriously? Like, yeah, just settle it down. Yeah, I've been there. Oh, my gosh. Oh, parenting, man. I tell you, parenthood challenges you.
I can see it. There's a look on your face right now that's just changed. You went into the parent mode there, and you just went, "Oh God, oh yeah."
I've been working on that, man. I've been working on that. I tell you, when you first get into it, like you don't have that stern Samuel L. Jackson mean look. You don't got it. You don't have the mean look. All right. It takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of juvenile disrespect to help you build the right kind of, what the hell you say? One of those type of looks. You know what I mean? You kind of got to have it like that. You know what I mean? You got to be, excuse me? Now, you see how it's growing? It's grown on me. Yeah, man. It's a good thing to be able to use from time to time. When you're a master, Nick, is whenever you can do it to somebody else's kids. And you say, get your ass off of there. And they're like, ooh, sorry, Mr. Armstrong.
Uncle Anthony's mad at me.
Yeah, get your ass down. Get your ass down. Hey, get your kid. And that's how it is, man. That's what happens when you get to 4 kids, Merle. That's what happens when you get to 4 kids, Lee. Start telling other kids
you got some
what
calluses
to do.
now.
Yeah, man.
Now, right?
Tell other kids what to do.
Yep. All right, Commanders and Eagles, as we get closer and closer to the end of the season, I think the big thing now on this show moving forward is going to be a lot of looking into the offseason and what guys now, and that's all I'm keeping an eye on the rest of the way here for this team. You know me, good losses work in terms of draft picks, but they also have to be able to draft well. But I'm really looking at names that we're going to see carry over into next season that may not have been part of the conversation early on, and that's what we'll pay attention to, and that's what's going to be most important against the Eagles coming up this Saturday. Anthony Armstrong, Nick Ashew, David and Melissa obviously went out and they heard what Dan Quinn had to say. Make sure you give us a follow and like and subscribe on all the ways you get your podcasts. We are going to be here throughout the rest of the season, through the off season. Plenty more to come here with Commanders Squad.